guys, my name is Brianne, and today we're at Poema Studios with the beautiful Sarah.
Hi guys, my name is Sarah. I'm a luxury makeup artist here in Southern California, and I specialize in bridal makeup services.
So Sarah, can you give us a little bit of a background on your history, your career, your story?
So I got certified for makeup in 2017. I was 29, almost 30 getting certified. I was like the oldest person in my class to figure out what I was going to do with my life. But yeah, ever since then, I just kind of dove right into it. And it's something that I've really fallen in love with. Like, I come from a background of service in the service industry, and I'm a people person, and I love art. So here we are, bridal makeup.
Nice. Have you always done wedding stuff since the very beginning?
That was always my goal. Always my goal. I'm not the crazy, like, glittered out, colorful makeup artist. Like, I love just like the neutrals and the classics. Like, can't go wrong with it. It's always drawn me in. So bridal makeup fits into that really well naturally.
Definitely.
For me.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
So getting right into the nitty gritty, what does it typically cost to hire a makeup artist for your wedding day?
Well, that's a loaded question. So it can really vary. I'm sure just like photographers, like it can be all over the board. I would say right now, if you're looking for a makeup artist, if you want someone if you're going budget only, someone that's pretty brand new in the industry, they probably start around $150 for a bride. Whereas like I was mentored by someone, or at least took a couple of her classes here in LA, and she charges $1,500 for her brides, like just the bride. So there's quite a range. I do fall somewhere in between. So for me personally, I have a bridal preview cost and I have a wedding day cost. I feel like they're both, the bridal preview is just as important as the wedding day. So the bridal preview for that service, it's $195 with me. That includes their a chance for me and them to get to know each other, for us to kind of collaborate. And I always consider it like our rough draft, because anything important, you do a rough draft and then you go back and you make those fine-tuned tweaks to make it perfect. And it gives you the opportunity to do it. A lot of my brides don't really know what they're looking for. They think they do. And it's like their wedding dress, they put it on and realize that's not the style that's becoming on them. So they want to make changes or little adjustments just to make it feel more them. And it gives us the opportunity to do that. So that's the bridal preview, is $195. And then for the wedding day itself, that service is $395. I do incorporate some of my travel costs in that. My first 25 miles of travel, that includes just a more thorough process. So like skin prep's more thorough. Like, I'm there for my bride that day. Like, I want to make them as comfortable and relaxed as possible, even when they're getting in their head. So we do like facial massage, we do like the eye mask, all the things to like just help them take a deep breath. We do body glow and highlight to accentuate like their shoulders and their collarbones and their décolleté, just enhance the way they look when they walk down the aisle. And then I also provide them with a touch-up kit that day. So they are so taken care of. They have like blotting and sheets provided for them, Kleenex, mints, floss, Q-tips. Even like a lipstick and a lip liner. Like, they want to recreate their lip combo, they're taken care of.
Very cool. Very cool. I had no idea that you do like the skin prep stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Also.
Oh, yeah. Well, and especially, like, usually the brides are all chill. I mean, you usually come, like, towards the end of the hair and makeup
once they're
services.
almost finished.
So they're usually pretty fine, but once they sit in the chair, like, things are getting real. And it, like, just hits them, like, oh, like, I'm going to be walking down the aisle soon. Like, all the nerves start kicking in. So, like, whatever I could do to get them out of their head. Or even sometimes they're just even a little puffy from drinking the night before or hanging out. So, deep puff.
Yeah,
relax.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Do a lot of makeup artists do that, or is that more so something that you've added into your service just because you knew it was a need that they had?
I think some of the luxury side, it's not as common. It's one of those things that I added on over the years, like where I was like, I could see how even if it's just a couple minutes, it's something that's so relaxing. Like, I mean, the brides are always like, oh, I could fall asleep. Or, oh, it feels like you're doing a gua sha on me. You're just doing that with your hands. Like, they get so surprised at how just relaxing it can be. So it's just one of those things. It takes a few minutes, but yet it leaves a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. Another question for you is, so that's the cost for the bride. What do you charge for the bridesmaids if they want to add that to the service?
So for bridesmaids, my 2024 pricing is $175 a bride. It was 150 prior.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, bridesmaids for a bridesmaid.
do you have a minimum or maximum number of bridesmaids that you will take on for a wedding day?
Oh, that I could accommodate.
Yeah, that you could accommodate.
Yeah, so Fridays and Saturdays are my hot days for weddings. So because of that, I have a 4-person minimum to receive my services, or the equivalent of. So like if a bride prefers to pay for touch-up services, they could do that instead. And I could stay afterwards just to make sure they're just taken care of through like the ceremony and the first look and all that. But yeah, so 4-person minimum, and then I personally will do up to 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
I spend an hour with each of my bridesmaids, an hour and a half with my bride. With a group of 4 or more, I do 30 minutes of touch-ups. So that's a 7-hour day for me, which usually means 7 hours of me not eating, barely drinking.
Right.
And I usually have a headache by now. So that's where I cut it. So 6 people is the most that I personally take. That will vary from artist to artist. After that, I do offer the option to have another artist come with me. We tag team it. And in reality, in 7 hours, like anything beyond that, what time are you waking up?
Yeah.
So it's like at that point, you might as well just have the extra artist there. So you might sleep in 2 more hours, 3 more hours, and we can split it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's pretty crazy that you can take on 6 people in one morning.
Oh yeah,
that sounds like a hard morning.
I used to do 7, and I would wake up with I'd leave with a wedding hangover is what I call it, because I just like come home and I'd just be
yeah.
so
that's totally a thing. So like we'll start later than you as the photo video team, but the same thing happens. So like the next day we'll wake up because we haven't had much water, much food, anything like that throughout the day. Yeah. And you just wake up feeling like terrible.
I feel like crap. So I'm like, boundaries are good. You only need to do 6. You don't need to add on the 7th person, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay, so the minimum you'll do is 4. Does that include the bride? So bride and 3 bridesmaids. Mm-hmm. And then maximum is 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Before we bring in extra help.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And when you do you typically charge the same rate for like each bridesmaid, or as it goes up, do you add extra cost for doing more?
I like my pricing to be real neat and clean for my clients. Like I don't want them to worry about all these extra fees. So it's very rare they have to pay for anything extra beyond what is set up from the beginning. The only time there's an extra fee is if we need that extra artist. So there's an extra artist fee of $150 that I charge, and that specifically is to cover my time, because I'm literally finding people and making arrangements, texting artists that I trust. And then I schedule them, like I keep them completely out of my bride's hair. So they are not dealing with another vendor. I'm doing that for them. And then that also covers the extra artist travel costs as well. So they don't have to worry about so how much more is that for travel? Mm-hmm. All that's incorporated in the extra fee. And other than that, in the industry, it's common to have an early start fee. Most makeup artists will do it at 7. I find I have to start before 7 a lot, though, like 6:30, maybe 6 isn't abnormal. So I do up to 6. Anything before 6, there's the early start fee for me personally, where, okay, if I have to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, can you give me an extra $50?
Yeah. Which doesn't seem like too much of an ask, I think.
Yeah, come on. Let's work together.
And then what would be, I feel like we're talking a lot about pricing, but it's so important because when brides go to start booking the vendors for the day, that's one of the main things they're trying to figure out is the budget and
have realistic expectations.
Have realistic expectations. So what are some extra costs that a makeup artist may charge for when a bride is looking to get their makeup done?
So for me, those are my only extra costs, or if you're further away. So I include up to 25 miles of travel in my base bridal costs. Mm-hmm. So 25 miles circumference. What is that, radius? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. I'm like going back to geometry. But anything beyond that, it's $2 a mile for me.
Okay.
Extra artist fee, that is your only potential extra cost that I ever charge. Mm-hmm. But other artists, we all vary. I guess you could add on touch-up services. That is occasionally a thing that people will do, like my girls that are real big criers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I tell them, like, oh, yeah, no, it's designed to hold up. Some of them don't trust you. Mm-hmm. So some of them like the peace of mind. And if that's the case, like I offer per hour the ability for me to stay and just make sure that if they need a little extra powder or if something does go a little wrong, I'm there to make sure it goes smoothly. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So then what about, and I don't know much about makeup, so.
Okay, go for it.
Like airbrushing, or is that a thing that...
Airbrushing was really big like 20 years ago.
Okay, so it's not that popular now? Do people...
It's around.
Okay.
Some artists do it. I would say the majority don't.
Okay.
Because it doesn't really change the longevity. I don't know of anyone that's ever been able to tell the difference as far as the way it looks. I actually took an airbrush course years ago because I have occasionally gotten asked about it. So I was like, well, why not? And even the instructor that was teaching it was not a fan of airbrush. So they didn't really sell me on it. But it was so confusing hearing the instructor. She's like, well, we could do this application. This is what looks best on the skin, but it doesn't offer a lot of longevity. So this is great for like 6 hours or less. And I'm like, that's not going to work for
wedding days
day.
Are like 12 hours.
Yeah. Exactly. And they were like, oh, you do this one, but it does happen to like enhance a lot of times, like under the eyes, like it can show off texture more under the eyes. I'm like, I know what I'm doing and I don't have these issues. Mm-hmm. Like I could offer the longevity and the smoother surface. So in the end, I even did a poll on Instagram, asked people their feedback, and like got all these people writing back to me their stories. And it was like 50-50. 50% of it loved airbrush, and 50% literally hated it. There was no in between ground.
Interesting.
So I just was like, you know what? I know what I'm doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Like, and I get people tell me all the time, like, wow, it looks airbrushed. What are you using? Like, so you could, it's just a different method of applying makeup. It doesn't change the longevity at all.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that is probably all the questions I have about cost and budget and things like that. What does the process typically look like when someone wants to hire a makeup artist for their wedding day?
So usually someone will inquire on my website. I'll get DMs, and I try to set up a consult call with them if possible, if they're open to it and have the time for it. Otherwise, I always have a pricing brochure I'll email to them. But I'm a very personable person. Like I like to get to know my clients. If you want a makeup artist to show up and keep to herself, I'm not very good at that. I want to massage your face. So yeah, it's like I want to be more personable with my brides. That's the type of person I am. And some people love that. And some people, it's not worth the extra money. But because of that, from the very beginning, I want to talk to them. Like, what are you looking for? Like, if I get on the phone and I hear that they want to be all glam, cut crease with lots of glitter and color, I'll be letting them know, like, okay, that's not my normal wheelhouse. Like, I don't normally do that. Like, are you, like, before we continue this conversation, like, I'd rather just have transparent with them. And whereas, like, by getting on the phone with them, I could really iron out some of the questions they may have. Sometimes they're even like talking about morning of, like, where they're going to get ready. And I'm like, oh, well, you only have 2 hours to get ready at the bridal suite. Realistically, you'll probably want to get ready at the hotel. We're able to chat about that on the phone, and that's free for them. So it just gives us a chance to get to know each other better and see if we're going to vibe. Mm-hmm. And then obviously I'll email them the pricing brochure at that point. We do a contract, deposit, of course, and we set up a bridal preview. The bridal preview, I try, if possible, to arrange it like for the engagement shoot or a boudoir shoot. Mm-hmm. If you could do that, it's so worth it. I mean, I'm sure you love it when they come all dolled up.
Well, I think they love it too, because then they feel so pretty and so ready.
More confident.
Yeah. And it always comes off in pictures.
Yeah, so it's like beautiful. They don't feel like they're wasting their money on a bridal preview. It's being put to use. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that they're going to see not just how it looks in person, but how it photographs. Mm-hmm. Like the benefit of that. I've had brides be on the fence like, oh, I'm not sure about the nose contour. I've never done that before. I'm like, okay, well, get back to me. You know, we can always nix it if you don't like it. Mm-hmm. Then they see the pictures and they're like, okay, we're keeping the nose contour. So, seeing the way it's photographs is really powerful as far as them making an informed decision what they want to keep for the wedding day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then so you do the bridal preview, and then the next part would be just the wedding day, right?
The wedding day, yeah. So I contact them about a month in advance just to put together the morning of timeline. Again, I like to be hands-on with my brides, so I make the arrangements out. I get the final information I need from you as far as like what time they actually need to be ready. But other than that, I schedule everything out for my brides. Like, okay, I'm arriving at this time. I'm going to do your mom's makeup at this time, your makeup at this time. So it's nice and organized. And it's one of the things that I find calms my brides. Like, because they know the schedule. They know that I know how long it takes and that it's going to get done on time. But then the day of, they see it being executed. Like, oh, it's 10 o'clock. Oh, look, she just got in the chair. Like, we're right on time. Fabulous. Or, oh, we're 5 minutes ahead of time. Like, it really calms them down when they're, like, sets the pace for the day when they see things running smoothly.
And that's really important, I think, especially as the makeup artist, because you're the first one that's there during the day that's kind of getting things moving along. So, like, if a bride can find a makeup artist that is, like, timely and knows what they're doing and is ready to go, it alleviates so much stress for everybody.
Oh yeah,
for the whole day.
Sure.
So I think that is super important, even as the like photography and videography team too, because like we show up, we can start rolling, we can get our pictures, we can do what we need to do, and then move along as you guys pack up and go. Yeah, it's a ripple
effect. If we don't have our stuff together, like it just throws off everyone. So it's like, to me, I'm like, no, like I'm going to put myself out there. I'm actually always struggled with punctuality, but not for my brides. Like that's something I will set like 5 alarms on my phone to make sure that I will not be late for them, that I will not be like, I bought my watches just specifically so I could be on time all the time. I didn't have a watch before I started working in this industry. Now I live by it.
Okay, so you want to know something funny? Is like, this is brand new.
Yeah.
And Joe has had his for maybe a couple weddings now. And what we do is we actually set timers.
I used to do that.
On our calendar. So that way we know, and we'll have him alert us 5 minutes in advance before the event's supposed to take place. So we know like, oh, okay, we're supposed to go do first look in about 5 minutes. So we need to wrap up and then get to the next
I would
thing.
set it for 20 minutes before my makeup should be wrapped up per person. So if I need to be done by 10, like at 9:40, it'll go off. So that way I'm like, I have like 15 minutes to wrap this chick up. Let's do it. Like, get me into hustle mode. So I did that for years. Now I just glance at the watch. You just get your pace down. But yeah. So it's very good. Game changer.
What styles do you recommend for brides on their wedding day? Like makeup styles that you would typically do?
I mean, style is super personal, so I wouldn't say there's necessarily a recommendation other than I stay away from like super trendy things just because, okay, do you want to look like you got married in 2023 for the rest of your life? Like, or do you want to be relatively classic? And I venture towards more of the classic side. But everyone's personal. Like, I literally just did makeup on a bride that she wanted pinks and purples on her eyeshadow. And it's not my normal game, but she looked phenomenal and she pulled it off, and more power to her. So make it you. Don't feel like someone's putting you in a box. But if there's an extreme trend that's going on, so, you know, in 2016, we had the crazy thick, like block brows, right? Terrible. Terrible. And you look back at 2016 wedding photos, you will see it. Even my work, I would never like the block brow. I still see that my work was heavier handed with brows just being influenced by it. Now we have big blush trends that are really popular. Like, oh, can you take more blush, and blush across the nose and all the things. I'm a blush girl. I love blush. My brides are always blushing, but just with a balance with all of it. So I personally specialize in the natural to soft glam range of makeup. So if you're like a no makeup girl or a makeup minimalist, like I work with like a lot of nurses and teachers, like just people that wearing a full face isn't their priority. Those are the type of clients I tend to attract. And then from there, it's really navigating like, so how I usually ask them like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how much makeup do you want to look like you're wearing? Do you want to look like a 2? As far as the super natural, or are we looking for like a 6 or a 7 or somewhere in between? But usually they range around 5 or 4 or 5.
Okay, so that brings me into another question that I had that I actually saw on your Instagram, I think, a while back, and you were comparing the difference between what neutral makeup is and what natural makeup is. Can you describe the differences for me?
Oh yeah, the hot topic.
Yeah.
So natural makeup is meant to make you look natural. So that means we're not doing like the eyeliner. We're not doing any colors that are outside the normal natural coloring of a person. Your makeup is pretty natural. Like I would dictate your makeup being natural. Mine's a little bit more neutral just because I do have like more of the eyeliner. I don't have fake lashes on, but I do have them built up quite a bit where they're popping. They're not, you could tell that I have mascara on by quite a bit. So a neutral makeup is meant to look like you have more actual, like a soft glam, natural glam, but all with neutral colors.
Okay.
So again, we're not using purples or blues or anything weird like that. It's all going to be very cohesive, natural colors, but at the same time, like you could wear a false lash. You can have more of the defined contouring and just more dimension, whereas natural makeup, you're not going to have very much contouring. It's going to be super minimal. Usually someone that wants truly natural makeup, we're going to keep the products to a minimum. If you're someone that has a lot of blemishes, a lot of discoloration, just be prepared that even if you're going for more of a natural look, you do still need more makeup. Like, and for photography, even today, like I just did a pretty basic face on myself. I probably don't look like I have like a lot of makeup on. For photography, you do want a little extra color. You do want a little bit of extra. So that's where the neutral makeup comes in, where we add a little bit extra so it photographs well and doesn't look like your bare face in your wedding photos.
Okay. So then I think a good, like, I kind of asked you this before we even sat down in the chairs, but like a good frame of reference through celebrity makeups, I would think maybe like Hailey Bieber is like the natural makeup side of things, and Kardashians are like the neutral makeup side of things.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Hailey Bieber, Sophia Richie's wedding that we just had, she is the epitome of natural makeup. Like it's very minimal. She doesn't have anything really exaggerating her features. Whereas Kardashian makeup, we have the highlight, the contour, the big lashes. We have the 4 different shades of lip colors going on to enhance their pouts. It's really designed to enhance you and look like you're wearing some makeup, even though there's no bright colors involved.
Okay, good to know. I think that's probably a pretty hot topic between.
Oh, I get it all the time. Like, I want to be really natural, and it's like these
and
big
then,
bold eyeliners.
Yeah, and then they show you the photos from Pinterest that they really
big
love.
old lashes. It's like, okay, like, so how natural?
Well, I think to the person who doesn't do makeup themselves, you know, they see natural colors and they think like, oh, that's natural looking.
And that's too where the bridal preview is so important because people, I always tell them, your version of natural and mine could be very different of what we think is natural. So let's talk. Let's let you see what you look like in that makeup. And I've had brides realize like, oh, I could actually, I think I liked the lashes and I think I could wear bigger. Like, and I've had them turn it up from there, and vice versa, where they haven't seen themselves like that. And they're like, this is not me. I don't like, you could tell they're not comfortable, and that's fine. That's exactly what we want to know. So, because we want you to feel radiant on your wedding day, even if it's not exactly like in the picture, it's about you feeling you. And I'm sure their confidence displays in the photos when that all happens.
Yeah.
When we make those tweaks.
If they feel more comfortable with whatever they've got going on, they're just going to look better.
Absolutely. They're going to smile bigger. They're going to be, they're not going to be in their head questioning themselves the whole time during their wedding.
Yeah.
So that's what the bridal preview is about, is to eliminate all the doubts.
How long does makeup usually take for a bride on the wedding day?
I personally take an hour and a half. I mean, I could do someone's makeup in 45 minutes, but for a bride, 45 minutes is me going very quickly and not really coming across any true problems. Whereas for a bride, I really enjoy taking my time with them, being super detail oriented, from the skin prep that we do, the eye mask, lip mask, even just, I like to make conversation with my brides. Like especially the introverted ones that are afraid to walk down the aisle, everyone's looking at me. Like they're sometimes getting nervous at that point. So like just having a conversation, seeing how their night went the night before, like when do you leave for your honeymoon? Are you gonna do any excursions? Like taking a personal interest helps them to kind of distract from all that, the nerves. And so to me, that's something that like I always try to make a point to do for my brides, and whether I like it or not, it does slow me down a little bit versus me popping out of makeup. So hour and a half gives me time to be more personable with them, to, like I said, do the proper skin prep, be really detailed with the work. I've had brides literally change their full look the day I get there. They're like, oh, by the way, we're doing this instead. Or you posted this 2 days ago and I really liked it. Can we do this look? And I'm like, oh, okay. So it gives us a little time because there's some adjustments we need to make. Like I said, that's not uncommon, and we roll with it, but we have the extra time to do it. So hour and a half is what I buy out for them.
Okay, and then how long would it take typically for a bridesmaid? Because they're usually not as much, right? They're a little lower.
Yeah, so I do an hour with them. Okay. And that, like I said, 45 minutes to 50 minutes is kind of common for my bridesmaids of true work time. Mm-hmm. But it also, that gives me an extra 10 to 15 minutes to clean. I sanitize between each client, spray everything down with alcohol. I get out their new brushes, and heaven forbid, I have 5 minutes to go pee.
Hopefully you get to go pee in between those times.
Yeah, as long as I have that's why we do the hour, not the 45 minutes scheduled.
So Sarah can go pee.
Yeah, so I can pee.
What is your experience working with some of the other vendors on a wedding day, like a photographer and a videographer, just to kind of give like a bride a look at how vendors interact with each other and work together?
I think our community is pretty awesome. Like, I mean, I have really good relationships with a lot of like the wedding coordinators. There's quite a few photographers and videographers I've gotten to know over the years. So I'm super excited when I get to see like a familiar face, like, and then I'm like, oh, I actually know the quality of work, especially when I know that they do really good quality of work. I'm very excited to see you guys. So yeah, everyone's really big team players. I feel like very respectful of each other. I love that a lot of the vendors are good with like referrals. Like I've always appreciated. I think you even referred to me
to one recently.
Yeah, which I appreciate. That makes such a difference, getting firsthand, referrals from where you've seen someone's work. That means a lot to the clients, and it's like we're all helping each other. So I love that.
Mm-hmm. Were there any moments of interaction between photographers, videographers, other vendors that were less than ideal that maybe would help to know about so that like clients can avoid that?
I wouldn't say the client has anything to do with this. Well, okay. So I know. Now I know.
You kind of get what I'm saying.
Now I know your question. Yes.
Because like hiring specific people and like making sure that the bride kind of understands. Yeah. If I'm going to book these two people, can I make sure that there's no stress or clashing or anything like that?
Yeah. As far as the bride goes, I would always say just err on the side of safety as far as timeline wise. So a lot of times I'll ask them, what time do you need to be ready? And my thought is like, what time is like the photographer going to start taking pictures of you ready? Not like you're supposed to be getting in the car at 2:30 and you're telling me you need to be ready by 2:30 because I'm going to have you in my chair until 2:30. Mm-hmm. That being said, like always give yourself a little buffer of time. Like if you know that your photographer wants to start taking pictures of you, like I would rather, I can't formulate my words. But yeah, I'd always give yourself a little extra time. So if your photographer is planning on taking pictures of you at 2:30, that's fine. I will have you done by 2:30. But if you want to have any extra time to go get a drink, you're going to be literally jumping from my chair to the next. So give yourself that little buffer. And that being said, like as far as the vendors are always really cool and respectful of each other. I haven't had too many issues. One time recently, I had a little one that irked me. So for like a photographer she was there. She was getting ready photos, which I'm here for. Like I love doing getting ready photos, like just the last finishing touches. Mm-hmm. But the bride hadn't seen herself yet. And to me, when I hand her that mirror at the end, that's an important time as far as them being able to process like what they look like. And like I said, sometimes they actually still want to make a tweak or two. Yeah. So I always want them to thoroughly be able to analyze it and have that 2 minutes to like process everything. And that way, if there is something they want me to tweak, they have the time and the voice to say it. And the photographer was like cutting into that, where I was like, literally, give me, like, I hand her the mirror and the photographer's like, okay, can you hold like this? Can you do this face? And I'm like,
oh, okay.
Like, you're not even allowing the bride to experience like her first look at herself. And this bride had made a couple changes from her bridal preview. So I was like, really wanted to make sure she was comfortable with the changes that I executed. Like, is this what, are we good? And I'm like, okay, hang on real quick. So Claudia, are you happy with it? Or do you want me to make any other adjustments? So that was, but again, that's where it's just like giving yourself a few extra minutes probably would help as far as making sure she can mimic that first look versus the genuine reaction.
Okay, that's really interesting from a photographer's perspective. I mean, the way that I shoot is typically a lot more, it's like less posy anyway.
Yeah.
So like I want to get their reactions to things.
Right, which that doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I'm here for that. Like, I love a genuine reaction of it. It was just, she was definitely still looking and then
processing.
Like, I was videoing the reaction, so of her, sometimes I'll video their reactions when they see their first look because they're usually pretty excited. And in the video, like, the photographer automatically is like, okay, now I want you to smile this way. And it's like she's moving the mirror and I'm like, she's literally, the mirror's been in her hand for like 5 seconds. Can you just like give the bride a second?
No, that's very, very, very interesting.
But in 6 years of me doing this, if that's like the worst
pretty
I've
mild.
had that's not, like I said, everyone's really nice and cool with each other. And the brides do really well. And as a vendor, I feel like it's our responsibility where if we see that they messed up on a timeline and like we need to be done earlier, within reason, I will do everything in my control to make that happen. So sometimes that does happen where it's like, oh, you wanted to leave at 2:30. You didn't want to be like loading your car at 2:30. Okay, then like let's crank these girls out. And so I'll do my best.
Yeah, as far as timeline is concerned, that's usually what I'll recommend to most brides also is like more buffer time is better than
I always tell them, check with the
time.
photographers. They know.
Yeah.
And I'll personally, like, I move the brides up where they're actually get ready a little bit earlier. They're not my last person just because I find that they're so busy. They got so much going on. Like, let them be free that last hour.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned that you like to do a little bit of skincare prep on the bride on the day of. But what are some skincare prep tips for before the day that you would give to brides or bridesmaids?
So I am very pro skincare for my brides. When they say that your face is your canvas, we're not kidding. Like, if you have a canvas that you're going to paint on, you want it as clean and white and smooth as possible because that's going to affect whatever goes on top of it. And same with our skin. I mean, obviously there's within reason, have realistic expectations yourself, but do what you can. Set yourself up for success. Set me up for success. Thank you. I mean, it really is going to make a difference in how much you love your makeup if you start working on it months in advance, honestly. So you don't even have to have a super expensive skincare routine to have results, but be consistent. Wash and moisturize your face every morning. Wear your sunscreen. Wash and moisturize your face at night. Every night. Don't be going to bed with your makeup on. It's good, you know. But even that, proper hydration. If you're oily, you still need moisture. You still need to put moisturizer on. Sometimes you're oilier because you're not putting your moisturizer on. If you don't know where to start, don't go to Sephora. Go to an esthetician. Sephora, they're there to sell. You have all these pretty ads everywhere, all this marketing. An esthetician, they're there to get to know your skin and tell you what's best for your skin. So yes, you can possibly buy from them. They usually are open to making recommendations outside their store as well, but they will actually make personalized recommendations from an informed standpoint versus the 10-minute training the Sephora lady got. So many people spend hundreds of dollars on skincare at Sephora and they're not getting results because they're not making informed decisions. So at least get a facial so you could get some education about what your skin actually needs. If possible, if you could start doing it monthly, a few months prior to the wedding, you'll see the results. I've had several brides. Like, I'll refer my brides to different estheticians in the area that I live. I even have one in Claremont, so not too far from you guys that I recommend. But just where I've seen results from them. Like, I know they know what they're doing. And like, I've had brides where they have terrible acne especially back when everybody was wearing masks, like the maskne was really
Yeah.
bad. I had some brides that were really going through it, and here they're about to say I do in 6 months, and they didn't know where to start. I sent them to an esthetician. All of them, they cleared up.
Wow.
And literally, I remember one of them being like, I haven't been this clear since I was a teenager. Like pre-pandemic, everything like made such a difference, but they put in the work. I know that costs money, but your skin is worth it. You'll be happy for your wedding photos. You'll be happy in the years to come. All of it's worth it. But consistency, I'm telling you, this is your time to glow up.
Mm-hmm. Would you recommend any specific, I know everybody's skin is a little bit different, but aside from just like wash, moisturize, sunscreen, is there any other like things that maybe they could add, like serums or anything
Lotions
like
and
that?
potions?
Lotions and potions that would generally work for or help most people.
It is so personalized, and I'm not an esthetician, so take everything I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But yeah, serums are great. I use all the things. But if anything, I usually recommend siding on the side of like, you'll see skincare products that are marketed more for sensitive skin or gentle cleansers. Those usually seem to work best from my experience. Like as far as when I've talked to clients, that's usually been a game changer for them. There's so many people that have like, acne is always a big one that people are struggle with, right? And they don't know where to start, or it's not getting any better. Mm-hmm. And what they've done is they've gone to Ulta or Sephora. They spent all this money on all these acne products.
And they throw the kitchen sink at it, and then it just gets worse.
Yeah. It's too much. And that's the problem. My sister was one of them. I was one of them, actually, when I was a teenager. Just, it's so abrasive. Your skin's not meant to tolerate all of that. So you're overdoing it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times by going towards more hydration and just gentle, sensitive, skin friendly, people's acne starts clearing up. And so, I mean, like I said, this is just from my experience. I'm not an esthetician, but if I could pick, or like if I had that's automatically where I like First Aid Beauty's like one of the brands at Sephora that markets it that way. Peach and Lily does a lot of it. I'm trying to think of what else is there. There's several that are just more sensitive skin, like geared, and a lot of people see good results just because they're restoring their moisture barrier versus just tearing it apart.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of the moisture barrier.
That's
barrier. Something I've heard.
Yeah. Your TikToks are paying off.
Because my skin is so dry. But yeah, again, I'm not an esthetician, nor am I a makeup artist, and nor do I know that much about skincare. But what I have heard is like the more stuff you throw onto it, the more product you use. Even in the past when I've tried to fix any sort of like bumps, acne, anything like that, throwing too much at it has just inflamed it, made it red,
it makes
flaky,
it mad.
And yeah, it made it so uncomfortable. And angry.
Sometimes it produces more oils because you're so dried out. It's like you're dehydrated, but you're oily. Like, how does that work? It's because of all the things you're putting on top of it, and then you're afraid to use a moisturizer to even help the skin out.
Yeah, because you're like, it's oily. I don't need any more moisture.
Right. So that's where it's like, going to an esthetician, they're going to be like, they will go over and you should ask them like, hey, this is my routine. Like, that's what you're paying them to do. Like, don't just go in there and like get your facial and walk out, but say, hey, like, can you, this is my routine. Can you make any recommendations, or do you think there's any tweaks I should make? And they're thorough. That's their job. They're in that industry because they love skin and they've studied it. They know what's working for their clients, for their oily skin clients or their dehydrated skins. So estheticians, like, go see one like at least 3 months, 6 months before the wedding, and start taking the recommendations, and it gives your skin time to even acclimate, because you know how sometimes you introduce a new product and all of a sudden you're like, oh, my skin didn't like that. Like, heaven forbid that happens. You don't want to do that the week before the wedding. You want to do that a few months beforehand so your skin has time to acclimate. And if possible, like a hydrofacial is a great treatment you could get leading up to the wedding. So there's some that will do it like once a month for a few months leading to the wedding. That produces great results. And the week before the wedding, you want to do your hydrofacial and then see someone do dermaplaning, the shaving.
Yeah.
Your skin will feel like butter. It's so good.
Makeup always goes on smoother.
It goes on so smooth. You don't have to worry about like your mustache coming through. All that peach fuzz, sideburns are gone. You're good. So it's worth it. I could feel the difference. The makeup looks so pretty on your skin. Like, that's a nice treatment you can do to just give yourself that extra TLC the week before your wedding.
Very cool. What are your best wedding day makeup tips that you would tell brides?
So things that I think will improve your overall appearance would be the skin prep leading up to it, facial, get your brows done, like get them waxed, get them tweezed, whatever. I like to make sure your teeth are white, so go to Costco, get the crest whitening strips. The morning of, do your Lumify. Have you seen Lumify?
No, what's that?
Oh, game changer. Oh yeah, it's like those little things, and you watch movies, you'll start seeing this. But it's a drop that just erases all the red.
Oh, from your eyes.
For your eye, yeah, for your eyes.
Oh.
And you just shine brighter. Like you got these bright white teeth, you got your bright white eyeballs. Like you just look more radiant, more awake, and a lot of the brides don't sleep the night before. You know that. Mm-hmm. So their eyes are extra red, and it just automatically like makes them look more awake and just more bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, all the things. So like that's a great and affordable thing you could do. The morning of, things as a makeup artist that I see that brides I recommend for them would be make sure there's plenty of space. Don't get a hotel room with 2 queen-size beds and think that me and the hair girl and 12 other girls are going to fit into it. It's not realistic. Or it's at least going to be really hot and stinky probably by the time it's done.
And messy, and everyone's going to be tripping over stuff.
Yeah, it's not good. So at least upgrade to a suite, or better yet, an Airbnb is a great option just because it's more spacious. Mm-hmm. We as makeup artists, we like natural light if possible. So if we could buy a window and like have an actual table to set up on, because we have all our whole kit we have to put out. So think of those things ahead of time when you're booking your Airbnb or your hotel room. Those are things you want to take in consideration. Have water. I'm like, how many times do people show up and does your bride not eat and drink? Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I'm always asking them, like, have you eaten today? Mm-hmm. Have you had water today? And they're usually like hyped up on like 6 cups of caffeine. And I'm like, someone get her some water or a few mimosas deep. It's one of the two. So yeah, don't be afraid to eat. Order, at least get bagels, or order like Chick-fil-A was one of my brides did recently. I thought that was really smart, easy idea. But you want food in people's system because they are going to be drinking. You don't want your day to end early for something that's so unavoidable. Mm-hmm. Or something that's so avoidable. Yeah, food, drink. I think that's it.
That's a lot of good tips.
Yeah, those are
the eye one. I think the only time I've ever heard of that actually was on your Instagram, because I saw it. Yeah. And I was like, what? You can make your eyes look brighter and whiter? That's
yeah. And when you look on, like, watch a movie, sometimes you'll see, like, they look just, like, super bright-eyed. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's totally Lumify. Mm. Yeah, so a lot of models will do that before their shoots. Like, so, yeah, still a tip from the models.
Very smart. Thank you so much for chatting with us today in the studio, Sarah. And if you guys have any questions for me or for Sarah, you can leave them in the comment section down below.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. My name is Sarah, and you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, my website, all under Beauty with Sarah May. So that's Beauty with, and then Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, May, M-A-E. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.